At 6 tonight, we re-examine the crime that shocked Arkansas and the nation. On May 6, 1993, West Memphis detectives discovered the bodies of 3 boys. And on the 10th anniversary of the notorious case, the 3 convicted killers remain in prison. But as News for Arkansas's Lendl Stout discovered, there are a lot of questions out there with this, Lendl, and a lot of folks are actually questioning, are the 3 who are in prison behind bars the killers?
That's right, guys. A decade ago, 3 innocent lives were lost, but many people believe that this case is a double tragedy because of the 3 teenagers who were arrested and convicted. It may have all ended there had it not been for an HBO documentary.
With its gritty subject matter, Paradise Lost grabbed millions when it debuted on HBO in 1996.
It was a very compelling documentary,
taking viewers right inside the courtroom for the dramatic murder trials of Jesse Misskelley Jr., Jason Baldwin, and Damian Eccles. 3 teens accused of killing 3 little boys during a satanic ritual. Christopher Byers, Stevie Branch, and Michael Moore. But people sat stunned at the end of the film. It seemed to cast doubt, and it provoked questions. Was there enough evidence to convict the teens? How could Misskelley and Baldwin be sentenced to life in prison without parole? And Eccles given the death penalty?
It shocked people, and then I think a lot of them expected that surely this will be corrected when this gets to the Arkansas State Supreme Court.
The court upheld the convictions, but that didn't stop a group in California from taking action. They launched a campaign to free the West Memphis Three through a website, WM3.org, and demonstrations like this one at the Arkansas State Capitol. The group garners worldwide attention for their cause. They believe the 3 teens were persecuted for being different, wearing black, listening to heavy metal music, reading books on witchcraft. Little Rock author Mara Leverett agrees.
They were pretty easy targets.
Her new book, Devil's Knot, details the entire case, beginning to end. An intricate filing system contains thousands of pages of court documents and case files.
Because of this approach that I took, I was able to find things that I don't think anyone had ever seen before in the case.
Leverett raises serious doubts about the West Memphis police investigation.
There's a major discrepancy in what the stepfather of one of the murder victims told police in one interview.
Leverett claims detectives didn't look closely enough at John Mark Byers, who had a history of violence and whose stepson Christopher was the only one of the 3 victims to be castrated. And she says investigators ignored another potential suspect, a man covered in blood who walked into a restaurant near the crime scene shortly after the boys disappeared.
The owner of that restaurant had called the police, said, hey, you know, this guy's here, do you want to come? And the police breezed by, didn't pay any much attention.
Workers saved paper towels covered with blood and gave them to police.
Asked about those at trial, they admitted that they had never been sent to the crime lab for examination because they had been lost.
No one ever saw the man again. The defense was not allowed to mention the lost evidence at trial. Dan Stidham is the only original attorney still on the case. He represents Jesse Misskelley Jr.
Mr. Misskelley never had a chance.
Borderline mentally retarded, Misskelley confessed to the murders and implicated Baldwin and Eccles.
Mr. Misskelley's plan was to tell them what they wanted to hear, then he could later change his story and prove that he wasn't there, had nothing to do with it.
The next day, Misskelley recanted the confession.
Does Jesse tell you that he regrets telling the police what he did that day?
Oh, yeah.
Critics say the confession is full of holes about the time of the murders and other important details. Still, for investigators, it became key evidence.
When you look at circumstantial evidence, you have to look at each piece as it relates to the whole.
No physical evidence exists that links Mr. Misskelley or the other 2 to this crime. None.
All managed to get on foot to 3 different homes and then clean up so perfectly that nobody notices this and not leave a footprint or a hair or a fingerprint at the scene and not carry a bit of mud or blood to any of their homes. If there was anything supernatural about this case. That was it.
You get that in any type of high-profile case. Regardless, it's always the police botched a case up.
Mike Allen was the first detective to find one of the victims.
My personal opinion, I think these three individuals are child killers.
But when asked about specific evidence in the case, Allen reveals little, saying the convictions are on appeal, and repeatedly brings up the HBO documentary.
If the justice system doesn't work, why not just send HBO film crew down here, let them do a documentary, run it on TV, have them call a 1-900 number, guilty or innocent.
Now, our story doesn't end there. The murder case remains a touchy subject for some at the police department and throughout West Memphis. A little later in the show, we'll look at how people in the city are trying to move beyond the image of West Memphis seen by millions in those HBO documentaries. And Bob and Denise will also take a look at the push to get DNA testing in this case.
All right, very interesting. Coming up a little bit later.
Okay, we'll see you then.
Lyndall, thanks.